Hello. Today, we're going to talk about quick and easy grammar tips to help you sound more like a native speaker. If you want your English to sound smooth, natural, and fluent, these hacks are perfect for you. Remember, each tip is simple and short. You don't have to know everything to start using these tips. Just keep practicing, and soon you'll see that your English sounds more confident and natural. Let's get started. First, let's talk about contractions. Native speakers use contractions all the time. Contractions are when we shorten two words into one. For example, I am becomes I'm. You are becomes your. They are becomes their. Contractions make sentences shorter and more natural. For example, instead of saying, I am happy to see you, you can say, I'm happy to see you. Instead of saying, they are coming over, you can say, they're coming over. Contractions help you sound friendly and relaxed, just like native speakers. Try using contractions in every sentence where they make sense. It takes a little practice, but it's one of the quickest ways to sound more natural. Another quick tip is to use simple words. Often people learning English think they need to use big or complicated words. But native speakers use simple words most of the time, especially in casual conversation. Instead of saying, I would like to request some assistance, and you can just say, can you help me? Instead of, I am currently engaged in studying English, you can say, I'm studying English. Simple words make sentences clear and easy to understand. Plus, they make you sound more like a native speaker. Remember, less is more. Simple words are powerful, especially when you're speaking. Next, let's talk about gonna and wanna. These are informal ways of saying going to and want to. Native speakers use these words in casual conversations all the time. Instead of saying, I am going to watch a movie, you can say, I'm going to watch a movie. Instead of saying, I want to go to the park, you can say, I want to go to the park. These shortcuts help your sentences flow better and sound more relaxed. Just remember, these are informal, so you should only use them in casual situations. In formal writing, stick to going to and want to. But for conversations, gonna and wanna are great for sounding more like a native. Let's talk about phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are verbs combined with small words like up, down, out, or off. These are very common in English, especially in everyday conversation. For example, instead of saying, I will return the money to you, you can say, I'll pay you back. Instead of saying, I will start the project, you can say, I'll start up the project. Phrasal verbs make your sentences sound natural and conversational. They may seem confusing at first, but once you learn a few, you'll find that they're actually very useful. Some common phrasal verbs are look up, give up, find out, turn off, and take out. Practice using these, and you'll notice a big difference in how you sound. A great tip is to use active voice instead of passive voice. Passive voice sounds more formal and can make sentences feel long and confusing. In active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action. For example, instead of saying, the homework was completed by me, you can say, I completed the homework. It's simpler and easier to understand. Native speakers mostly use active voice because it makes sentences clear and direct. So, whenever possible, try to use active voice. It's a small change, but it makes your English sound stronger and more confident. Now, let's talk about avoiding too many I statements. If you start every sentence with I, it can sound repetitive. Native speakers often mix up their sentences to avoid this. For example, instead of saying, I think it's going to rain, you can say, looks like it's going to rain. Instead of saying, I feel tired today, you can say, today feels tiring. This makes your sentences more interesting and sounds less repetitive. Mixing up your sentences can make you sound more natural, just like a native speaker. Using short responses is another way to sound more fluent. Instead of repeating the entire sentence, native speakers often give short answers. For example, if someone says, are you coming to the party? Instead of saying, yes, I am coming to the party, you can just say, yeah, I am, or yes, I'll be there. Short answers make conversations feel smooth and natural, so don't worry about always giving long answers. Short responses are just as good, and they sound more fluent. Here's another useful tip. When you want to emphasize something, use so or really. Native speakers often say things like, it's so hot today, instead of, it's very hot today, or I really like this song, instead of, I like this song a lot. Using so or really makes your sentences sound more natural. It also shows your emotions more, which is common in everyday English. So, next time, try saying so or really to sound more like a native speaker. Let's talk about using questions to keep conversations going. Native speakers often use short questions to keep the conversation natural and friendly. For example, if someone says, I'm going on a trip, you can ask, oh, where to? Or really? When? These small questions show you're interested and help the conversation flow. Another example is if someone says, I saw a great movie, you can ask, what movie? Or, did you like it? Asking small questions makes conversations feel lively and natural. Another helpful tip is using just in your sentences. Native speakers use just to make sentences sound softer or less direct. For example, instead of saying, I wanted to check if you're free, you can say, I just wanted to check if you're free. Or instead of, I'm saying this is better, you can say, I'm just saying this is better. Adding just makes your sentences sound more polite and friendly, which helps you sound more natural. Native speakers also often use kind of or sort of when they want to sound less direct or make a point softly. For example, instead of saying, I think it's too cold, you can say, I think it's kind of cold. Or instead of, this is difficult, you can say, this is sort of difficult. Using kind of or sort of makes your sentences sound more casual and friendly. These words show that you're not being too strong or direct, which makes you sound more like a native. Now, let's talk about using you know in conversations. Native speakers often add you know to their sentences to make them feel more relaxed and friendly. For example, instead of saying, I think this place is nice, you can say, I think this place is nice, you know? Or instead of, I like this food, say, I like this food, you know? Using you know is like inviting the listener to agree or understand. It makes your conversation sound more engaging and natural. Another tip is to use actually when you want to correct something or add new information. Native speakers use actually a lot in conversations. For example, if someone says, you're from New York, right? And you're actually from Los Angeles, you can say, actually, I'm from Los Angeles. Or if you want to add something surprising, you can say, I actually love this song to show your enthusiasm. Actually is a simple word, but it helps you sound more like a native by making your corrections or additions sound smoother. Using let me is another great way to sound more natural. Instead of saying, I will check, say, let me check. Instead of saying, I will think about it, say, let me think about it. This phrase sounds casual and relaxed, which helps you sound more fluent and like a native speaker. It's easy to use and can make your English sound more friendly. A very useful tip is using a bit or a little when you want to make something sound softer. For example, instead of saying, I'm tired, you can say, I'm a bit tired. Or instead of, this is difficult, say, this is a little difficult. Adding a bit or a little makes your sentences sound less direct and friendlier. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference in making you sound more natural. Try using I mean to explain something better or give more details. For example, if you say, this is hard, you can add, I mean, it's not easy to understand. Or if you say, I like this book, you can add, I mean, it's really interesting. I mean shows that you are explaining or adding to your point. This phrase is very common in English, and using it will make you sound more fluent. Finally, let's talk about using fillers like well, and you know. Native speakers often use these small words when they're thinking or trying to decide what to say next. They help keep the conversation going and make it sound natural. For example, if you're asked, what did you think of the movie? You might say, Well, I thought it was pretty good. Or if someone asks, are you coming? You could say, yeah, I'll be there. These fillers are helpful when you need a moment to think or don't want to sound too direct. So let's do a quick review. Use contractions to make your sentences shorter. Choose simple words over complicated ones. Try using gonna and wanna in casual conversations. Learn and practice phrasal verbs. Use active voice to make sentences direct. Don't overuse I at the beginning of sentences. Use short responses when possible. Add so or really for emphasis. Ask small questions to keep conversations going. Use just to sound polite and kind of or sort of to make your sentences sound softer. Add you know to engage the listener. Use actually to correct or add information. Try using let me for a natural flow. Add a bit or a little to soften statements. Use I mean to explain, and don't be afraid to use fillers like and for a natural rhythm. One of the easiest ways to sound more natural is to use contractions. Contractions are when we combine two words into one shorter word. For example, I am becomes I'm. You are becomes your. They are becomes their. Contractions make your sentences sound shorter and friendlier. For example, instead of saying, I am going to the store, you can say, I'm going to the store. Instead of she is very nice, say, she's very nice. These small changes make you sound more relaxed and comfortable in English. You might notice that native speakers use contractions all the time, even when they're talking fast. Practice using contractions whenever you can. They are very common, especially in casual conversations. Try saying I'm, your, their, he's, and she's often. After some practice, you won't even have to think about it. Your English will start sounding more natural and fluent. Another simple tip is to use short, everyday words. Sometimes people learning English think that they need to use big or difficult words to sound smart. But in everyday English, native speakers use simple words, especially when they're speaking. For example, instead of saying, I am currently in the process of learning English, you can say, I'm learning English. Or instead of saying, I would like to request some assistance, you can simply say, can you help me? Simple words make your sentences easier to understand, and they make you sound more natural. Remember, you don't need to use big words to sound good in English. Sometimes less is more. Using simple, clear words actually shows confidence. It means you know what you want to say and you don't need fancy words to say it. So try using short, simple words whenever you can. You will find that it makes your conversations much easier and smoother. Let's talk about two casual words that native speakers use a lot: gonna and wanna. These are shorter, more relaxed ways of saying going to and want to. In informal English, I am going to becomes I'm gonna, and I want to becomes I wanna. For example, instead of saying I'm going to watch a movie, you can say I'm going to watch a movie. Or instead of I want to go to the park, say I want to go to the park. These shorter forms are great for making your English sound more relaxed and natural, but remember, gonna and wanna are informal. Use them in casual situations like talking with friends or family. In more formal settings like at work or in writing, it's better to say going to and want to. But for conversations, gonna and wanna can help you sound more like a native speaker. Another way to sound more fluent is by using phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are verbs combined with a small word like up, down, in, out, or off. For example, instead of saying, I will return the money, you can say, I'll pay you back. Instead of, I will start the project, you can say, I'll start up the project. Phrasal verbs make your sentences sound more conversational and natural. Learning a few phrasal verbs can make a big difference. Some common ones are give up, find out, look up, turn off, and take out. These are used all the time in English, especially in everyday situations. Try learning a few phrasal verbs and using them in sentences. They might seem confusing at first, but once you get the hang of them, you'll see that they're very useful. Let's talk about using the active voice. The active voice is when the subject of the sentence does the action. It's more direct and makes sentences shorter and clearer. In contrast, the passive voice is when something is done to the subject. For example, instead of saying, the homework was finished by me, say, I finished the homework. Or instead of, the report was written by Sarah, say, Sarah wrote the report. Active voice makes your English sound more confident and easier to understand. Native speakers prefer active voice because it is direct and clear. When you use active voice, your sentences feel stronger and more lively. So, try to use active voice whenever you can. It's a small change, but it makes a big difference in making your English sound natural and fluent. Here's a simple tip. Don't start every sentence with I. Using I too much can sound repetitive and can make conversations feel less interesting. Instead, try to mix up your sentences. For example, instead of saying, I think it's going to rain, you could say, looks like it's going to rain. Instead of saying, I feel tired today, try saying, today feels tiring. Native speakers often avoid using I repeatedly by changing their sentences a little. Mixing up your sentences like this can make you sound more fluent. It also makes conversations feel more natural and friendly. Practice changing your sentences, and you'll see how it helps keep the conversation interesting. Using short responses can also make you sound more natural. Native speakers don't always repeat full sentences when answering questions. For example, if someone asks, are you coming to the party? Instead of saying, yes, I am coming to the party, you can just say, yeah, I am, or yes, I'll be there. Short responses make conversations feel smooth and relaxed. There's no need to give long answers if a short answer will do. In English, short responses are just as good, and they can make you sound more fluent. Try it out, and you'll notice how natural it feels to keep your responses short. When you want to emphasize something, try using so or really. Native speakers often say things like, it's so hot today, or I really like this song. Instead of saying, it's very good, say, it's so good. Or instead of, I like this a lot, say, I really like it. Using so and really helps you show more feeling in your sentences. It makes what you're saying sound more natural and shows that you're expressing emotion. This is common in everyday English, so try using so or really when you want to emphasize something. A good way to keep conversations going is by asking small questions. Native speakers often ask quick questions to show they're interested. For example, if someone says, I'm going on a trip, you can ask, oh, where to? Or, really? When? These small questions keep the conversation moving and show that you're interested in what the other person is saying. Another example, if someone says, I saw a great movie, you can ask, what movie? Or, did you like it? Asking small questions like these makes conversations feel more natural. It's a simple way to sound friendly and keep people talking. You can also add the word just to your sentences to make them sound softer. For example, instead of saying, I wanted to check if you're free, you could say, I just wanted to check if you're free. Or instead of, I'm saying this is better, you can say, I'm just saying this is better. Adding just makes your sentences sound polite and friendly. Just is a small word, but it makes a big difference. It softens what you're saying and makes your sentences feel more relaxed. Try adding just in casual conversations and you'll see how it helps your English sound more natural. Native speakers often use kind of or sort of to make statements sound softer. Instead of saying, I think it's too cold, you could say, I think it's kind of cold. Or instead of saying, this is difficult, you could say, this is sort of difficult. Using kind of or sort of makes your sentences sound more casual. These phrases are common when native speakers don't want to sound too direct. They make what you're saying feel lighter and more relaxed. You can use kind of or sort of to soften your statements, which can help you sound more natural. Another small word that native speakers use a lot is you know. You can add you know to the end of a sentence to make it sound more casual and friendly. For example, instead of saying, I think this place is nice, say, I think this place is nice, you know? Or instead of, I like this food, Say, I like this food, you know? Adding you know is like inviting the other person to agree with you. It makes your sentences feel friendlier and more engaging. Try adding you know to some of your sentences. It's a simple trick, but it helps you sound more like a native. You can also use the word actually when you want to add new information or correct something. For example, if someone says, you're from New York, right? And you're actually from California, you can say, actually, I'm from California. Or if you want to add something surprising, you can say, I actually love this song to show extra feeling. Using actually helps you make corrections or add extra details in a natural way. It's a simple word, but it makes a big difference in how your sentences sound. Try using let me when you want to sound friendly and relaxed. For example, instead of saying, I will check, say, let me check. Or instead of, I will think about it, say, let me think about it. Using let me makes your sentences sound more conversational. This is a small change, but it can make your English sound more natural. Native speakers use let me often when they're speaking, so try adding it to some of your sentences. It makes you sound more fluent and comfortable in English. Another good tip is to use a bit or a little when you want to make something sound softer. For example, instead of saying, I'm tired, say, I'm a bit tired. Or instead of saying, this is difficult, say, this is a little difficult. Adding a bit or a little softens your statements. It makes them feel less direct and more polite. Native speakers use these phrases all the time to keep conversations friendly and light. If you want to explain something, try using I mean. For example, if you say, this is hard, you can add, I mean, it's not easy to understand. Or if you say, I like this book, you can add, I mean, it's really interesting. Using I mean shows that you're explaining or adding something. This phrase is very common in English, and it helps you sound more fluent. Lastly, don't be afraid to use small words like I, well, and you know. Native speakers often use these words when they're thinking or need a moment. For example, if someone asks, what did you think of the movie? You might say, well, I thought it was pretty good. Or if someone asks, are you coming? You could say, yeah, I'll be there. These fillers make your English sound natural and relaxed. They give you time to think and keep the conversation going. So, let's go over these tips one more time. Use contractions, choose simple words, try gonna and wanna in conversations, learn some phrasal verbs, use active voice, avoid starting every sentence with I, give short answers, use so or really for emphasis, ask small questions, add just to sound polite, use kind of or sort of to make statements softer. Try adding you know at the end of sentences. Use actually to add details. Try let me for a friendly tone. Use a bit or a little to soften statements. Say I mean to explain. And don't be afraid to use fillers like and Practice these tips and you'll see how much more natural your English sounds. Keep practicing and you'll feel more confident speaking.
My name is Robinson. I am from England. I am 18 years old. My father is German. My mother is English. I have 2 brothers. I have 1 sister. We are a good family. My father is a good businessman. We have money. I have a good school. I have a good life. But I have a dream. I want to travel. I want to see the world. My father is a good man. He wants the best for me. But my dream is not his dream. He is not happy. The situation is not easy. It is morning. My father is in his room. He wants to speak with me. I go to his room. My father has some questions. My father wants to know why I want to travel. My father says, traveling is dangerous. Traveling is not comfortable. You can die. I think about it. Traveling is dangerous. It is not comfortable. I can die. But it is also very interesting. I can see new countries. I can meet new people. I think about traveling every day. Maybe my mother can help me. I speak with my mother. I tell my mother, I want to travel. I want to see the world. Please, speak with my father. Maybe with your help I can travel. My mother loves me, but she thinks that traveling is dangerous. She thinks that my place is at home. She thinks that life in England is the best for me. 1 year later, I visit one big town. The name of this town is Hull. I meet my friend. His father has a ship. They travel to London. My friend tells me, "Go with me." I think about it. I am not prepared. But I can try if traveling is for me. I go to London. I am very happy. It is my first long journey. It is very interesting. The first hour is good. But then we have problems. We see a storm. The storm is big. The wind is strong. The ship goes up and down. I have fear. I think about my home. I think about my comfortable bed. The storm is finished in the morning. The weather is nice. And the evening is beautiful. Everything is quiet. One man comes to me. We speak. We speak about the storm. I speak about my fear. The man gives me a drink. I drink very much. I sleep very well at night. The next day, I forget about my home. I forget about my comfortable bed. I dream more about traveling. The next day, our ship is slow because the wind is not strong. Then the wind is strong again. We go fast. A new storm comes. This storm is bigger. I am scared. The men are scared too. The waves are very big. The waves are like mountains. I see other ships. The ships are like toys. The waves play with the ships. I want to go home again. The storm is very big. The men ask God for help. Then, one man sees a hole in the ship. Water is inside. It is a bad situation. Many men go down. They pump the water out. I am very scared. I can't move. One man comes to me. He says, "Go down and help." So I go down. We pump the water out. I hear a gun. It is a signal from our captain. It is a signal that we have a big problem. Our ship is very broken. Our ship is full of water. 2. We work very hard. We pump the water out. But the hole is very big. More and more water is inside the ship. The weather is better. The waves are smaller. But the ship is full of water. We need help. We see another ship before our ship. The men from the ship send a small boat. The men on the boat go to our ship. The men help us. We go on their boat. 15 minutes later, our big ship goes underwater. We are safe on the small boat. We see a land. We go to the land. We see people on the beach. They wait for us. They help us. They give us some money. We can go to London or Hull. I go to London. When I am in London, I meet a captain. The captain goes to Africa. I think that I can make some money there. The captain tells me about the business in Africa. He tells me what to buy in England. He tells me what people in Africa need. The journey to Africa is very good. I have a lot of money after this journey. I am happy. I want to travel more. I want to do more business. I want to learn how to control the ship. The captain teaches me how to control the ship. I go to Africa again. The journey starts well. But soon we have big problems. We see a ship. It is not an English ship. It is a pirate ship. The pirates want to take our ship. Their ship is fast. Soon they are near our ship. The pirates attack us. Many pirates go on our ship. They kill our men. We can't win. We stop the fight. Now we are prisoners. I am young and strong. I must work as a slave. I work for the captain of the pirates. I feel very sad. I have a bad life. I must work hard. I work every day. I work in the house. I work in the garden. The captain tells me what to do. I don't like my work. I want to change my situation. I want to be free again. It is morning. I meet a young woman. She works in the house. She is so beautiful. She is also a slave. She cleans the house. I speak with her. She doesn't speak my language. But I feel that she understands me. When she sees me, she is happy. And I am happy too. Sometimes she touches me, but it is only a short moment. Slaves can't be together. I think about the young woman very often. I want to meet her every day. But she is not in the house every day. When I think about her, I have a nice feeling in my body. I think that I love this woman. I think that she is my girlfriend, and I am her boyfriend. But our love is complicated. We can't live together. It is very sad. Sometimes I fish with the captain or his friends. A young boy helps us. We use a small boat when we fish. One morning, when we fish, we are lost. Fog is around our boat. We see nothing. We can't go home. The next day, the fog is away. We can go home. When we are back home, the captain says, "Use a bigger boat. The bigger boat is better for long journeys." One day the captain tells me, "Put more food and drinks on the boat. Bring some guns, too." The captain wants to fish with his friends. I prepare the boat. I put food and guns on the ship. But the captain's friends don't want to fish. Then the captain tells me, "Prepare the boat for usual fishing for the next day." This is my chance. I can run away. A lot of food and guns are on the boat. I prepare the boat for fishing, but I leave the food and guns on the boat. Tomorrow, I can run away. This is my plan. I think about the young woman. I want to take her with me, but I don't know how to do it. It is not possible to take her on the boat. I am sad. I don't know what to do. I want to be free, but my heart wants to be with her. It is the morning. I meet the young woman in the house. She is so beautiful. I look at her. She knows that something is different. Maybe she understands that this is our last moment together. She looks in my eyes. She touches my hand. I think that she understands. Her face is sad. My face is sad too. She smiles at me. Then she goes away. This is our last moment together. Chapter 4. Lion, 1 hour later, we are ready. I and the boy go to the boat. One man goes with us. He is our boss for today. Soon we are far from the land. But we can't catch fish. Then we go very far from the land. Our boss thinks that we can catch fish there. At one moment, our boss goes to the front of the boat. I quickly push him to the sea. He wants to swim back. I take a gun. When he sees the gun, he swims away. When he is away, I look at the boy. I want to know if he is on my side. I see that he is on my side. After 2 years, I am free. We go very fast. The wind is good. The next day, we are far from the pirate land. But we don't stop. We continue. After 6 days, we must stop. We need some fresh water. We wait for the night. Then, we go to the land. When we are near the land, we hear horrible noises. The boy doesn't want to continue. He is scared. We stay on the boat near the land. But we can't sleep. Some animals come to wash in the water. The animals make horrible noises. The boy is very scared. Then we hear that one animal swims to us. The boy wants to go away. But I don't want to go away. I take one gun. I shoot at the animal. The animal turns. Then the animal swims to the land. The other animals hear the gun. They go away too. We stay on the boat. It is morning. We eat bread for breakfast. The boy wants to go to the beach. I go with him. We take guns. We take big bottles for water. I don't go very far. I want to see the boat. The boy continues alone. The boy returns after some time. He runs. I think that some animal runs after him, but I see nothing dangerous. He has an animal in his hand. The animal is a chicken. He is very happy. I am happy too. We have good meat and fresh water. We don't see dangerous animals. I don't know where we are. I only know that we are near Africa. I think that we are near a land where no people live. We don't see people on the land. We only hear animals. One day, when we go for fresh water, we see a lion. The lion sleeps on the beach. He is very big. He is only 20 meters from us. The boy is scared. Then, the lion opens his eyes. When the lion sees us, he runs to us. We don't have much time. I must shoot at the lion. I have 3 guns. The first bullet hits his leg. The second bullet hits his head. The third bullet finishes the animal. We can't eat the meat. The meat is not good, but we take the skin. We put the skin on the boat. The skin is dry soon. Chapter 5. Ship, we continue our journey. We stop only when we need fresh water. Soon, we see that people live on the land. One day, we see a big group of people. They are on the beach. They have many children. They watch us. I want to stop. I want to go to the people. But the boy doesn't like this idea. He is scared. The people want to give us some food. 2 people run to the forest. They return with some food. We don't want to go to the beach. But they don't want to swim to us. We don't know how to take the food. The people see this. They put the food on the ground. Then, they go back. When they are far from the food, we go to the food. Now, we are not scared of the people. They come to us. We thank the people. But we have nothing for the people. At that moment, we see 2 animals. The animals run down from the hill. The people are scared. One animal attacks a young girl. I shoot at the animal. I kill the animal. The second animal is scared. The animal runs away. The people are shocked when they hear the gun. They are also shocked when they see that the animal is dead. The people are happy that the girl is alive. They thank us. They give us more food and water. Now, we have a lot of food and water on the boat. We continue our journey. The next day, we see some islands. I think that we can visit the islands, but at that moment, the boy starts to shout. He starts to shout because he sees a ship. The boy is really scared. He thinks that it is a pirate ship. But I look at the ship. I see that the ship is Portuguese. But nobody on the ship sees us. So I shoot from a gun. They hear the gun. They see us. Soon we are on the Portuguese ship. They speak Portuguese, Spanish, and French. But I don't understand the men. But one Scottish sailor is on the ship. He comes to me. I tell him our story. Then all the sailors are very nice. We can stay on the ship. We are very happy. We offer our boat to the captain. But the captain doesn't want to take the boat. He wants to pay for the boat. It is very nice. I tell him that he can buy our boat. I give him a good price. It is half of usual price. The captain agrees. The captain also wants to train the boy as a sailor. I don't like this idea. I think that the boy is very young for this job. I think that the boy also needs freedom. But the captain says that it is good for the boy. Chapter 6. Wife. The boy wants to work for the captain. So the boy starts to be a sailor. The ship is on the way to Brazil. We come to Brazil after 20 days. I say goodbye to the boy and the sailors. Brazil is a new state in South America. Many people start a new life here. It is the same for me. I know nobody here. I meet some people. They have sugar plantations. Soon we are good friends. I like Brazil very much. Soon I learn the language. I have some money from the captain. I buy a small land in Brazil. I start to produce sugar. I don't produce much at the beginning, but after 2 years, my plantation is big. I am single, but my life is good. My financial situation is better every month. After 3 years in Brazil, I have enough money. I can have a woman for cleaning my house. I ask my friends if they know a good woman. One friend says, I have a daughter. She is 18 years old. I think that she can work for you. She is also a very good cook. The next day, his daughter comes to my house. She is friendly, but she is shy. She is also a very pretty girl. We talk. I tell her what I need. The next day, she comes to my house. She cleans the dirty floor. She cleans my furniture. She comes to my house every morning on Monday and on Thursday. She works for 4 hours. She also cooks for me. She also gives food to my cat. I am always happy when I see the girl. Sometimes we have breakfast or lunch together, and we talk. Then, she is ill. She can't come to my house. I feel a strange feeling when she is not in my house. I miss her. I think, maybe, I love her. 1 week later, she comes to my house. I am happy when I see her. I see that she is happy too. I hug her. Then I kiss her. It is a long kiss. 2 weeks later, I go to her father's house. I ask him if I can marry his daughter. He is quiet. I wait for his answer. Then he says, I agree. I am very happy. 2 months later, I marry the daughter of my friend. We start to plan a family. This part of my life is great. We have big plans for our family. We have big plans for our plantation. We need a bigger house. We need more money for a bigger house. I think about the business in Africa. I can make a lot of money in Africa fast. I speak about Africa with my friends very often. I tell my friends that we can make a lot of money in Africa. Chapter 7. Hurricane. One day, 3 friends come to our house. They tell me that they want to go to Africa. They ask me if I want to go with them. I say, yes, I want to go with you. We start to prepare for the journey. Soon, we are ready. I say goodbye to my wife. Then we go. We want to come back 2 months later. We leave Brazil in September. Our ship is very big. But we are only 17 men. The ship is full of things for business. The weather is good, but very hot at the beginning. 1 week later, we see a hurricane. The hurricane is very strong. Our ship is in danger. The hurricane is finished after 3 days. But when the hurricane is away, we have a problem. The ship is broken. We can't go to Africa. The captain wants to go back and repair the ship. But I don't want to go back. We talk about it. We think about the best solution. Then, in the evening, a second hurricane comes. The wind is strong. The waves are very big. Then one man shouts, "Land!" When the man shouts, "Land!" the ship stops. The sea is not deep enough. It is bad for our broken ship. The ship can break every second. We must go on a smaller boat. This is very dangerous because the boat is very small for 17 men. But we must do it if we want to survive. So we go on a small boat. The waves are very big. The wind is very strong. The wind pushes us to big rocks. We know that the crash is near. Then a big wave comes. The wave turns the boat. I am underwater. I can't breathe. I don't see the other men. I don't see the boat. Then my head is above water. It is only a short moment. But I can breathe. I see a small beach between the rocks. A big wave pushes me to the beach. I am still in water. But I feel a land under my feet. I know that I must stand up. I must get out of the water. The next wave can take me back to sea. But my body is weak. I can't stand up fast. The next wave comes. I am underwater again. I can't breathe again. But then another wave takes me back on the beach. I am in water. But I can stand up. I can go 10 meters. I am on the sand. I am safe. But my arms and legs are very weak. I collapse, and I lie on the beach. After some time, I stand up. I look for the other men. I can't find the other men. I am the only man alive. All my friends are dead. I only find 3 hats and 2 shoes on the beach. It is horrible for me. Chapter 8. Island. The weather is still very bad, but the waves are not so big. I see the ship. The ship is far from the land. I look around. I see that I have nothing. I am wet. I have no other clothes. I have nothing to eat or drink. I have no gun. Dangerous animals can eat me. I have only a small knife which I find in my pocket. This situation is really bad. How can I survive with only a small knife? I need to drink some fresh water. I find a small river. I drink the water. The night comes. I am scared of dangerous animals. I can't sleep on the ground. So, I spend the night in a big tree. When I wake up the next morning, the sea is calm. I still see the ship. I swim to the ship. I don't see a way inside the big ship. I swim around the ship twice. Then I see a rope on one side of the ship. I use the rope. Now, I am on the ship. The ship is empty. I try to find some food. I am lucky. Some food on the ship is dry. I also find a bottle of rum. I take the bottle with me. Then I hear something. Somebody is on the ship. Who is it? Somebody from my friends? It is not possible. My friends are all dead. I am scared. I go to the place where I hear the noises. Then I see who it is. It is a dog. It is a dog of our captain. Now I have a friend. I am not alone. I must take the food, rum, and the dog to the beach. But I don't have a small boat on the ship. I must make a raft. I find some wood. I make a raft from the wood. I also need some clothes. I look for the clothes. When I look for the clothes, I find a nice carpet. I also find 4 guns and a box with gunpowder. I put everything on my raft. The sea is calm. The wind goes to the land. This is all good. Soon, I am on the beach. I look for a place where I can stay. I see a hill. From the hill, I can see where I am. I take a gun. I walk to the hill. I go to the top. I see sea around the whole place. I am on an island. I see 2 small islands near. One is to the north, one is to the west. I also see a big land to the south. The land is about 100 kilometers far. I see nothing to the east. I see only the ocean. I don't see people on the island. I see only wild animals. Chapter 9. Tent. I see many birds on the way back from the hill, but I don't know their names. I don't know if I can eat them. I kill one bird, but the meat isn't good. I go back to the raft. The next day, I want to go back to the ship. I want to take all important things to the island. The next storm can destroy the ship completely. I make a small tent near the beach. I bring the things which can be destroyed by rain to the tent. The night comes. I lie on the ground. I put 2 guns near my left shoulder. I also put 2 guns near my right shoulder. Now, I feel safe. I am tired. I sleep very soon. I swim back to the ship the next day. I make a second raft. I put many things on the raft. I am very happy when I find 7 new guns and some beds. I take all these things to the beach. I go to the ship every day. I bring back many good things. For example, I find a lot of candles. I need candles on the island. I also find 2 big boxes of tea. I make a lot of visits to the ship. One day, I discover a box which is closed. Under the box, I find a key. When I open the box, I see some money from Europe and Brazil. Money is not important on the island, but I take the money with me. I also find cards with pictures. They are pictures of the king and the queen. I can play some games. I can have some fun with the cards. The next day, big dark clouds are in the sky. They are bigger and bigger. The wind is stronger and stronger. I visit the ship, but I don't make a raft because a storm is near. Rafts can break easily in a storm. I swim back to the beach. The wind is really strong at night, but I am safe inside my little tent. The ship is gone the next morning. I know that I can stay on the island very long. I want to make a nice place where I can live. I also need to be safe. I can look for a cave. Or I can make a bigger tent. Maybe I can do both. I need a place which is near fresh water. The place must be in shadow. It must be easy to protect the place. I also need a view of the sea. I want to see ships. I find a nice place next to a big hill. I put my tent there. The hill protects me from one side. I build a fence on all the other sides. The fence has no door. I use a ladder when I go over the fence. I take all my things inside. I have more plans in my head. I make 2 tents. One tent is big. The second tent is small. The smaller tent is inside the bigger tent. The bigger tent protects the gunpowder and the food from rains. I live in the smaller tent. Chapter 10. Calendar. When the tents are finished, I start to make a cave at the bottom of the hill. I want to use the cave for food. I bring stones and earth from the cave to the fence. I make a terrace on the inside of the fence. I still work on the cave when a storm comes one day. I see lightning during the storm. I think that the lightning can hit my boxes with gunpowder. The explosion can destroy everything. The explosion can also kill me. I am scared. I need to make a change. After the storm, I open the boxes with the gunpowder. I put the gunpowder in smaller boxes and bags. I hide the boxes and bags in the rocks. I have a lot of gunpowder, so this takes 3 days. I also hunt every day. It is a break from the hard work. And I also need some meat. When I hunt, I also start to know the island more. I discover some goats. I hunt them. Now, I have enough meat. I am sad sometimes. I think about my wife. I miss her very much. I think about my friends in Brazil. I think about my parents. I know that traveling by sea can change your life completely. Traveling can be great. But traveling can be horrible too. I know that my friends from the ship are dead. I know that I am the only person alive. I am lucky. I am also lucky because I have all the things like food, guns, and clothes. I can't survive without these things. I decide to make a big cross. I put the cross on the beach. I write on the cross the date of my first day on the island. I want to keep information about time. The cross is my calendar. I make a small cut in the cross every day. Every Sunday, the cut is longer. This cut shows the end of the week. The last day of every month is also a long cut. One day, I think about my situation. I have negative thoughts. This is not good. I want to change my negative thoughts. I decide to write all good and bad things. First, I write what is bad. I am alone on this island. I have nobody for a conversation. I have only a small chance that I can see England again. But I am alive. I am safe. I have my freedom. I have enough food. This is all positive. I don't have good clothes, but I don't need a lot of clothes on this island. I have my dog. He understands some words. He understands when I say, "Sit down. Come here. Bring it. Don't jump. Don't do it." I see that my situation is not perfect. But I have also some good things in my life. I need to concentrate on positive things only. I continue to make my place better and better. I make the cave bigger. I have space for many things in the cave. I am happy because my life is now well organized. Chapter 11. Book. I need to make some furniture. I need a chair and a table. I use the wood from my rafts and the ship. It takes 5 days to make them. Then I make more furniture for the cave. I put my clothes and guns in the cave too. I am very happy when my work is finished. The cave is comfortable now. Everything is well organized. I can easily find what I need. I decide to write a book about my life on the island. I describe my days in the book. I start with my first day on the island. I write everything what I remember. I also write what I think. It is good when I write my thoughts on paper. When I start, I write 1 page every day. But when I get to the present, I write only 1 page every week. I write only important things. After some time on the island, my life is well organized, but my life is never boring. I have always some work. Every morning, I walk around the island. Then I work. I have lunch at noon. Then I sleep, but not very long. Then I continue with my work. I relax or I write my book in the evening. I make my cave bigger and bigger. I want to have a big cave. The cave is my kitchen, living room, and sometimes a bedroom.
Fluency in English is something that so many people dream about. Think about it. The ability to communicate smoothly, to share your thoughts without hesitation. I remember when I was just like you, struggling, feeling shy and sometimes frustrated. Yes, I wanted to be fluent, but I was so scared of making mistakes. One day my teacher looked at me and said, "You can become fluent if you practice every single day." Can you believe it? That one sentence changed everything for me. I realized that fluency is not a gift, it's a goal. And like all goals, you must work for it. Fluency doesn't come in a single day. Think of it like planting a tree. You start with a tiny seed, water it, give it sunshine every day. You care for it patiently, and one day that little seed grows into a big, strong tree. Fluency in English is just like that tree. You have to nurture it bit by bit, day by day, and before you know it, you'll be speaking with confidence. One day, a student came to me, and she looked so sad. She said, "Teacher, I want to speak English, but I always forget the words." I looked at her, smiled, and said, "Don't worry. Fluency isn't about remembering every single word. It's about practice. And trust me, you're doing great." Her eyes lit up with hope. "But how can I practice?" she asked eagerly. I told her, practice is everywhere. Talk to your friends, listen to stories, sing songs. Yes, even in English. Isn't that amazing? Every moment can be a practice moment. Back when I was in school, I loved stories. Every night, I would listen to my teacher read to us, and I'd repeat each word. At first, I was so slow, but guess what? With time, I got faster, my vocabulary grew, and so did my confidence. One day, a student asked me, "Teacher, is fluency just about speaking fast?" I laughed and said, "No, fluency is about speaking clearly and confidently, so others can understand you. You don't need to rush, you just need to speak from the heart." I had a boy in my class once who spoke so fast, but honestly, no one could understand him. I told him, "Slow down, speak clearly, use simple words." And do you know what happened? Soon everyone could understand him, and he became so much more confident. He actually enjoyed speaking English. Fluency really is like a journey where you take one step at a time. Don't rush, enjoy every step, because one day you'll look back and see how far you've come. Now let me share a secret with you. Are you ready? The secret to fluency is listening. Yes, listening. Listen to others speak English. Listen to stories, to songs, to conversations. The more you listen, the more you learn. I knew a girl who loved music. She would listen to English songs every day, and soon she started singing along. Her fluency improved just like that. Isn't that incredible? Let me tell you about something really important. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. Mistakes are your best teachers. I once had a student who was so scared of making mistakes. She would sit quietly because she thought everyone would laugh at her if she said something wrong. I told her, "Hey, don't worry about mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson." One day she decided to try speaking in class. She made plenty of mistakes, but she didn't stop. And with every word she spoke, she grew more confident. That was the moment she truly started her journey to fluency. Thinking in English is another big step. When you think in English, you start to speak naturally. I had a student who would always translate from his language to English in his mind, and it made him so slow and confused. I advised him, try thinking in English even when you're alone. Think in English. Slowly but surely, he became more fluent, and soon he was speaking without any translation at all. Another way to build fluency is reading. When you read, you learn new words. You see how sentences are formed, and you get a sense of the language. When I was learning English, I would read simple books. Every time I found a new word, I'd write it down, then try to use it in a sentence. I remember a student came to me with a book and said, "Teacher, I read this, but I didn't understand everything." I told her, "That's okay. The more you read, the more you'll understand." She kept reading every day, and over time, her fluency soared. Have you ever recorded yourself speaking? It's an amazing way to improve. I had a student who would record herself reading a story every day. She'd listen to the recording, find areas to improve, and soon she sounded so fluent. This is a fantastic exercise because it helps you become more aware of your own voice. Sometimes having a friend to practice with can make all the difference. I had two students who were best friends, and they decided to speak only in English with each other. Every day they would have fun conversations, helping each other with words they didn't know. Over time, both of them became very fluent. Isn't that beautiful? They learned from each other and truly enjoyed the process. Fluency also comes from using English in real-life situations. When you're at the market, try speaking in English. When you're with friends, switch to English. The more you use it, the more fluent you become. I remember one student who worked in a shop. He decided to speak only in English with his customers. At first, it was hard, but with time, he became more confident and fluent. Real-life practice is so powerful. Curiosity is another key. When you hear a new word, don't ignore it. Look it up, find out what it means, and then try using it in your next conversation. I had a student who was extremely curious. Every time he heard a new word, he'd ask me about it. Then he'd use it as much as possible. His vocabulary grew, and his fluency improved so much. Curiosity really pays off. Having a goal makes you more motivated. Ask yourself, why do I want to be fluent in English? I knew a student whose goal was to travel to an English-speaking country. Every day she practiced because she wanted to be ready for her trip. This goal kept her motivated, and by the time she traveled, she was speaking fluently. Enjoying the process is so important. Fluency doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. But if you enjoy the journey, it feels easier. I had a student who loved watching English movies. Every night, he'd watch one. At first, he used subtitles, but after a while, he could watch without them. He enjoyed the movies, and at the same time, he was improving his fluency. Repetition is powerful. The more you repeat, the better you become. I remember a student who loved to repeat sentences. He'd hear something in class and say it over and over. This helped him remember the sentences, and soon he was using them in daily conversations. Practicing with different people also helps. Each person has a unique way of speaking, and by talking to various people, you learn different styles. I had a student who was very shy and only spoke to me. I encouraged him to talk to other students, and although he was nervous at first, he eventually became comfortable. His fluency improved so much. When you talk about something you love, the words come more easily. I had a student who was passionate about football. Every day he'd talk to me about it, and his fluency improved because he was speaking about something that excited him. Fluency also means being okay with not knowing every word. Sometimes you may not know the exact word, and that's perfectly fine. Try to describe it in another way. I had a student who would stop speaking if he didn't know a word. I told him, if you don't know the word, just explain it differently. This helped him keep the conversation going and stay relaxed. And now the question is for you. What inspires you to keep going on your journey to fluency? Fluency in English also grows when you practice in front of a mirror. Yes, it may sound funny, but seeing yourself speak helps you become aware of your expressions and gestures. I had a student who was really shy about speaking in front of others. I suggested, why not practice in front of a mirror? At first, she felt a little awkward, but slowly she became more comfortable. Soon, she was speaking more confidently even in front of others. What if you forget a word while speaking? Don't panic. It happens to everyone. Just take a deep breath and keep talking. Sometimes the word will come to you later. If it doesn't, use another word to describe it. I had a student who would stop and freeze whenever he forgot a word. I encouraged him. Don't stop. Just keep going. You're doing great. Over time, he learned to stay calm, even if he didn't know the exact word. It helped him become more fluent and relaxed. Taking breaks is also important. Fluency isn't just about practicing nonstop. Sometimes your brain needs a rest. I knew a student who practiced constantly, and after a while she felt frustrated and tired. I told her, take a break, relax, and come back tomorrow with a fresh mind. And you know what? She felt so much better after resting, and her fluency kept improving. Remember, it's okay to take a breather. Using English in creative ways can make learning so much fun. You could write a short story, sing a song, or even make a video. I had a student who loved to write, so every day she would write short stories in English. This helped her practice new words and sentences. Soon, she started reading her stories aloud, and her fluency blossomed. Creativity makes learning enjoyable and gives you a chance to experiment with the language. Teaching others is another powerful way to become fluent. When you teach, you're also learning. I had a student who was already quite fluent, so she decided to help her friends who weren't as confident. She would teach them new words, practice conversations with them, and explain concepts. Not only did her friends improve, but she became even more fluent herself. Isn't that amazing? Setting a routine can be a game changer. Having a dedicated time for practice keeps you consistent. I had a student who practiced every morning for 30 minutes. This was his routine, and he followed it every day. Slowly but surely, his fluency improved. A routine helps you stay disciplined and ensures you keep practicing. Remember, it's the small, steady steps that lead to big progress. Being patient with yourself is crucial. Fluency takes time, and it's normal to feel impatient at times. I remember a student who wanted to be fluent quickly. He became frustrated when he didn't see fast results. I told him, "Be patient. You're improving, even if it's slow." He listened to me, continued to practice, and over time he saw real improvement. Sometimes the journey is slow, but every bit of effort counts. Listening is just as important as speaking. When you listen carefully, you learn how to respond, and you understand the rhythm of the language. I had a student who was a fantastic listener. Before he spoke, he would listen attentively, which made his responses clear and thoughtful. Listening is a huge part of becoming fluent because it helps you pick up on nuances and understand different ways of speaking. Keeping a positive attitude can make a big difference. Learning a language can be challenging, but staying positive makes it so much easier. I had a student who always smiled even when she made mistakes. She would laugh, correct herself, and try again. Her positive attitude kept her motivated, and she eventually became fluent. Remember, positivity is like fuel for learning. It keeps you going even on tough days. Sometimes stepping out of your comfort zone is necessary. I had a student who was very comfortable speaking English in class, but felt shy outside of school. I encouraged her, try speaking to people outside too. At first, she was nervous, but with time, she became more confident and fluent. Taking small risks helps you grow and makes you more adaptable in different situations. Observing fluent speakers can also be incredibly helpful. Watch how they speak, listen to their intonation, and learn from their style. I had a student who admired a famous English speaker. She would watch his videos and try to mimic his way of speaking. Over time, she improved her own fluency, developing a style that felt natural and confident. It's important to celebrate every little victory along the way. Each time you learn a new word or speak without hesitation? Celebrate it. I had a student who would celebrate even the smallest achievements, and it made her feel proud. These small victories motivated her to keep going. Celebrating keeps you aware of your progress, reminding you of how far you've come. What if you get stuck while speaking? It's okay to pause and think. Take a deep breath, collect your thoughts, and then continue. I had a student who felt very nervous whenever he got stuck, but I told him, it's okay to pause. It's part of the process. This advice helped him stay calm, manage his pauses, and ultimately, his fluency improved. It's also beneficial to practice what you've learned. If you pick up a new word today, try to use it tomorrow. I had a student who would learn a new word every day and then use it in a sentence. This helped him remember the words naturally and made them part of his daily vocabulary. Practice makes each word a lasting part of your language. Learn from your surroundings. Sometimes English is all around you, from signs to posters and even menus. I had a student who loved exploring the city. Every time he saw an English sign, he'd read it and try to understand it. This simple practice introduced him to new words and phrases that he could use in conversations. There's English in everyday life if you look closely. Understanding the culture behind the language adds another layer to fluency. English is spoken differently across the world, and each culture has its own way of using it. I had a student who was fascinated by British English. She would watch British shows, read about their culture, and soon she started picking up different expressions and phrases. This helped her understand various speaking styles and made her more adaptable. Body language also plays a role in fluency. When you speak, your body language adds meaning to your words. I had a student who was very expressive. Even when he used simple sentences, his body language made him seem more fluent and people understood him better. Learning how to use gestures naturally adds confidence to your speech. Challenging yourself to speak on unfamiliar topics can boost your fluency. I had a student who loved sports, but he decided to talk about science for a change. At first, it was difficult, but with time, he learned new words and became comfortable discussing different subjects. Fluency grows when you push your boundaries and try new topics. Being relaxed helps your words flow more easily. I had a student who was very tense when speaking. I told him, take a few deep breaths before you speak. Relax. This simple practice helped him feel at ease, and his fluency improved remarkably. When you're relaxed, the words just come to you. Asking questions is a fantastic way to start conversations. When you ask questions, you engage others and it leads to more practice. I had a student who was great at asking questions about people's day, hobbies, and interests. This habit kept him constantly practicing and learning new ways to express himself. Reflecting on your progress is also motivating. Every few weeks, take a moment to think about how much you've improved. I had a student who kept a journal. Every week, he'd write about his progress in learning English, and this reflection helped him see how far he'd come. It motivated him to keep going. Being flexible with your language is another useful skill. Sometimes you need to rephrase to make your meaning clear. I had a student who was very adaptable. If someone didn't understand him, he would change his sentence until they did. This made him more fluent because he could adjust to different situations. Connecting with other learners is so valuable. When you learn with others, you share experiences, tips, and encouragement. I had a student who joined an English club. Every week, she met with other learners, practiced speaking, and gained motivation from their support. Learning together creates a positive environment. Setting small goals can make your journey feel more achievable. Instead of saying, "I want to be fluent," try something specific like, "I want to learn 5 new words this week." I had a student who set small weekly goals. Each time she achieved one, she felt more confident. These small steps added up, and soon she was speaking fluently. Persistence is key. Even when it feels hard, don't give up. I had a student who struggled with English and wanted to quit many times, but he kept going. And one day, he realized he was speaking more fluently than ever before. Persistence pays off even if it takes time. Sometimes, it helps to review what you've learned. Revisiting old lessons reinforces what you know and makes you more confident. I had a student who would review her notes every month, and it helped her remember key points and use them effectively. Being open-minded also aids fluency. You might hear different ways to say the same thing, and that's a wonderful part of learning a language. I had a student who loved learning about different dialects. He would explore how people from various places spoke, making him adaptable and fluent in different settings. Enjoy the language. Find something you love in English, whether it's a book, a movie, or a song. Enjoying the language brings a natural passion to your learning. I had a student who adored English poetry. Every day she'd read poems, trying to understand and feel the language. This made her more passionate, and her fluency improved as she connected with the words on a deeper level. Asking for feedback is also a powerful tool in becoming fluent. When you speak, ask someone to give you honest feedback. I had a student who would always ask for feedback after speaking. This helped him see areas for improvement and to understand what he was doing well. Feedback allows you to grow and become a better speaker. Another effective way to improve fluency is by using flashcards. Write down new words on flashcards and review them regularly. I had a student who made flashcards for every new word he learned. He would go over them daily, and this helped him remember the words and naturally use them in conversations. Flashcards are a simple yet powerful way to reinforce your vocabulary. Being comfortable with silence is also part of fluency. Sometimes you need a moment to think before you speak, and that's okay. I had a student who was afraid of silence. He thought he had to respond immediately. I told him, it's okay to pause and gather your thoughts. This made him feel more comfortable, and he began speaking more clearly. Learning phrases instead of just individual words can also make your sentences sound more natural. I had a student who focused on learning phrases, and it transformed her speaking style. She was able to form more fluent sentences, and it made her speech sound more connected. Phrases help you understand how words work together in real contexts. Being curious about the world adds excitement to your language learning. When you explore different cultures and ideas, you have more to talk about. I had a student who loved history. His knowledge of various topics made him an interesting conversationalist, and it enriched his English vocabulary. The road to fluency isn't always easy, but it's incredibly rewarding. Just like a river flows steadily toward the ocean, your efforts will carry you closer to your goal. Fluency is not just about speaking smoothly, but about connecting with others, sharing your unique voice, and building bridges of understanding. Every word you learn, every sentence you speak, is like adding another brick to that bridge. It leads to new understanding, friendships, and opportunities. So keep learning, keep speaking, and let your voice be heard. You are on a journey, and every step brings you closer to fluency. And now I have a question for you. What inspires you to keep going on your journey to fluency? What motivates you on this incredible path? Remember, every step you take is an achievement, and your fluency will only grow stronger. So stay curious, stay motivated, and let your English journey be a part of who you are. Embrace it, enjoy it, and watch yourself grow. Your voice matters, and with every word you speak, you're making your mark on the world.